Hey guys, welcome to Silicon Valley Girl. If you're struggling to understand what to do with your life, I'm going to tell you one exciting story, and this is where we're going to start, and then I will tell you the whole mindset. Now listen to the story, and then I'm going to describe you the whole mindset. But first, listen to the story about someone who's changing the world right now. His name is Blake. He started his startup journey by building an app that scans barcodes. And he kind of realized it wasn't the app that's changing the world, but he wanted to build a startup, only to realize that regardless of what you're building, you're gonna have the same problems. It is hard to build a company. As he said, the F word is going to be the same regardless of what you do, but the results are gonna be different. He still continued building his app and later sold it to Groupon, which is great. But after he sold and started working for Groupon, he looked himself in the mirror and told himself, I want to build something that I want to exist in the world. And that day, he remembered his childhood dream of flying a supersonic jet. And that day, he decided that he was going to start a company building an airline. Yes, the guy who had no experience building airplanes, he decided to start an airline that will only be business class, that will get you from San Francisco to Tokyo in less than 3 hours. And this company is called Boom. They just had their first successful trial flight. They're gonna have another flight in September. And this guy is definitely changing the world, but what excites me the most is this boldness with which he approached the problem of choosing what you want to do in life. And this phrase, like the F word, is going to be the same regardless of what you do. Like, no one promised us an easy life. We're gonna have problems, we're gonna struggle with money, we're gonna struggle with other people not understanding what we want to do. But these problems are the same whether we're building a flower shop or building an airline. Yeah, the scale is different, but as a human being, you just feel the same. But the results are very different. So choose a problem that excites you the most and that delivers the best results. And that applies to your career, that applies to your profession, or maybe a business that you want to build. So now, after we got inspired with this amazing mindset, there are several steps that you can actually take to figure out what to do in life. Now, if you're a teenager or if you're in your 20s, try to talk to as many people as possible. Try as many jobs as possible. When I was studying mathematics and economics, the dream job for everyone in our department was to work for the Big Four, the audit company. And I was like, that sounds fancy, that sounds legit. But at the same time, I realized that there were certain passions that I wanted to follow with my future career, and those being languages and intercultural communication. And I just couldn't find that in that job. And I asked a lot of people, and this is tip number one, just talk to a lot of people and ask them about the problems that those jobs come with. And a lot of those students shared that there were so many issues with work hours, they didn't really speak English in the job, and I was like, okay, maybe something else. And instead of doing an internship in one of the Big Four companies, I decided to work at a souvenir store in St. Petersburg. Yes, that's what I did because that job gave me an opportunity to speak English. Well, in 2 weeks, I realized I'm the worst salesperson ever when it comes to souvenirs, so I quit that job. But it led me to later find out the study abroad, and this is what I'm still doing. So advice number 2 is also try as many things as possible. Ideally, say yes to every opportunity that comes in and try different things because that's the only way to understand different worlds. My project Language Trip followed after several unsuccessful experiments of working at souvenir stores and trying to sell cosmetics. I actually asked myself, what am I passionate about? And when I realized like English has to be present, cultural exchange has to be present, I just stumbled upon study abroad and I couldn't look back. And in the end, it all grew into a whole business. But believe me, when you start something like this, you can't really imagine that it's gonna grow bigger. You just do whatever you love and you follow your passion without asking any additional questions, and then something magical happens when you help people. Another phrase that Blake Shaw said when he was talking about Boom, he said that passion and drive trump knowledge and experience. And this is what I see happen a lot in the startup field or in professions. Somebody young and excited comes and they do so much better than somebody who's been doing something for 20 years but without any excitement. So just follow this excitement. And it's crazy to realize that 13 years have passed since I started this career helping people learn languages, and I continue to discover new things in my work in this field. And I wanted to thank the sponsor of this video, Gamma app, who I started using to enhance my job as a creator who teaches languages. I couldn't imagine back then that I would be assisted in preparing my presentations by artificial intelligence, and today it's a reality. Let me show you something. So now, if I want to make a presentation, say for example, the topic is 10 idioms in English for every day, and earlier I would use a person who will help me research 20 idioms and I will select the ones that I like. But now, all I have to do is ask Gamma app to create a presentation for me with top 10 American idioms, ask to explain where they come from, give me an example, and also create an image to illustrate what this idiom means. So it's really cool that Gamma app not only creates content for you, but also makes the designs by itself. I used to spend a lot of time on designs all the time, but now it's so easy. Gamma app easily made a beautiful presentation and now I can easily edit it. I actually like it the way it is, so I wouldn't really be changing a lot. And I like that I don't have to search for different images and worry about copyright. It is very convenient. You can delegate your presentation tasks to Gamma app. It's a great time saver. Check out the link in the description below and get started for free. I also like the approach of lifelong learning. Sometimes we think that, I'm gonna get this education, I'm gonna start this job, and this is for the next 20 years. Oh no. Oh my God. Yes, there are some people who retain their jobs for 10 plus years, but the reality is people work for several companies at a time, people switch jobs all the time, but most importantly, they continue learning. I take several courses every year. I know a lot of people just educate themselves over and over again. They just consume free YouTube videos. So keep this in mind that you will be switching your careers and that's totally fine. If you're building a company, you will be switching products and that's totally fine. Because the thought of, this is the job that I'm gonna do for the rest of my life, sometimes it can be depressing. Give yourself this freedom of thinking, I can do whatever and I'll start with this, but I'll figure out later. I really like this exercise where you have two columns. One column, you say things that you want in your job and you give them scales, say from 1 to 5. And in the other column, you have problems and you also give them scale from 1 to 5. And for example, if I talk about myself, like number 1, I want to speak English. How important this is to me in a profession? 5 out of 5. Yes, perfect. Okay, 5 out of 5. What about problems? Unpredictability. I will give it 1 out of 5 because I'm actually okay with unpredictability and this is why I started the business. I would rather have a 1% chance of building $1 billion company versus having like a 90% or whatever these days with layoffs, like 70% chance of having a stable income. For this part of my life, I just like this excitement connected with entrepreneurship. And once you figure out what are the things that are important for you in a job and the things that are not important, you will be able to evaluate every profession. By the way, there are people called career counselors and there are different tests that you can take. So I totally advise you to just take a test and maybe figure out those things that you value in a job because career tests can suggest that, oh, you really like communication, take a look at these jobs, or maybe you are the one who wants to work from home and these jobs offer this flexibility. I will leave several links below so you can take the tests. The next tip that really helps me in business and in life in general, I like to set a certain number or like a KPI for myself or a certain benchmark when I have to make a decision. For example, if I'm starting a business, I will give myself, let's say 12 months. If in 12 months, I don't have this revenue that is able to help me sustain a team or whatever. Like it's different from person to person, or if you're starting your content creation career, I wouldn't really do like a particular number of followers, but I would do like, okay, if I really want to do content creation full time, let me set myself a goal of posting 16 videos in the next quarter. If I don't do that, then maybe it's not for me. So something quantifiable that can also measure how excited you are about the job. And again, when it's like a metric that you can't really influence, like reaching a certain number of followers, that might not be the best in terms of motivation. But when it comes to business, I feel like growth of revenue is a great metric because it actually shows whether you identified the problem correctly. Because just values like, okay, I need to make $1 million by the end of the first year, probably not gonna happen. But if you make $5 the next week and then $10 in 2 weeks and then $20 in 3 weeks, you see like how it's growing, how it's doubling. That means there's this huge potential. So it's also very important to choose your metrics wisely. And when you choose the right metric, you will also evaluate like, oh, is this journey easy for me or is it hard for me to keep doing that job? And the last but not least, always ask yourself, what am I losing if I'm taking this job? So if you decide to stick with a 9 to 5, are you giving up on your childhood dream? Or maybe on the other hand, you're getting stability and this is what you want and you're okay with not trying to build a business. So it's really important to really understand, like dig deeper into yourself and understand where you're giving up, because this will help you stop constantly doubting your decision, because otherwise you'll be like, oh my God, why am I doing this? But then, okay, I could have done this, but here are the things I don't like about that thing that I'm not doing right now. And the main metric, as always for me, keep asking yourself this question every single day. Am I enjoying this? Am I enjoying the problem connected with this job? Am I excited to wake up every morning and keep working on whatever I'm working on right now? Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you soon on Silicon Valley Girl. Bye.